Hey guys, this is Tamara Caulder Richardson, and I'm your host of the Seeking Heaven channel. And we have a special Friday live chat, which is called Seekers Speak. And tonight, let me get on here. All right. Hi, here we are. I'm Tamara. So, all right. So you can see we have Ruth that's going to be coming on here, who's our guest, Ruth Shilling. She did a fabulous show with me that you saw here yesterday. She has the author of multiple books. These are just the ones in the mediums right here. And she's got another one coming out. Is How to Hear Your Own Guidance. You know, she'll tell us a little bit about that. But she's got these medium books that she interviewed these mediums with amazing abilities in Lilydale. So tonight we want to talk about, as it says here, and I'm going to pull this up, you know, the trained medium and the capability. Cool guys here. Okay, I'm back. There you go. So we're going to talk about the trained medium versus the untrained. I'm going to bring on Ruth right now. She's in our virtual green room. Hi, Ruth. We had so much fun on that last discussion. And even though we were a little bit lengthy on it, it was good.
Yeah.
We covered a lot. And I think it's kind of rare to be able to see two mediums talking about, you know, the trade of what's needed and what's wanted. And we both have really put ourselves out there getting training. And it's kind of, you know, it's something that I know I believe in, that's close to my heart. And that you've also put yourself out there with training. We met at one of Tony Stockwell's classes. Where was it? New Jersey? I think it was New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. With Janet Novak, the Journey. The Journey Within.
Journey Within, yeah.
And so, and one of the best animal readings I got was with Ruth. It's a hoot. I cannot forget it. It was like the best. My little dog, Larry, the teacup poodle, we did, you know, for some of us students, like we hadn't had enough for the whole day of reading. Oh no, we decided we're going to do more. Going back in the room, I think we were crazy. I mean, after 7 hours, really give it a rest. But we did, and she brought through Larry and his little Colonel. She said Colonel Sanders, and then we would always kid. We gave him a Colonel Sanders cut, and then also about him drinking beer. Which my husband said, well, he liked whiskey better. So look, I love animals. Y'all don't be hating, but that was the cutest reading because he thought he was a big boy. So look, tell us about real quick before we get into this topic and I want to welcome everybody to the show. And if you have questions as we are speaking, put it in the chat box, and then I'll try to weave it in if I can. Okay. We've got a lot we want to cover, but tell us a little bit about how you came up with these 3 books on the mediums, kind of what they cover, and then some of the other things you're working on. And I do want to mention, if you have a book in mind and you want to write a book, Ruth has a small publishing company. She is also a professor. What does that mean? She's going to give you TLC. And she can post your book for you. It can be anonymous, or she can use it through her publishing company. But she can help you get this thing done. If you have a book, and she can take the fear out of it. She's very meticulous in everything she does, and I would totally recommend her. So remember that. So tell us about these 3 books again, and then the new one coming out.
Well, thank you so much. And just as because you were saying about the publishing thing, I saw a video many years ago, and with a young man, I don't even know who it was. And what he was saying was, if everybody has skills, everybody has wisdom and understanding about certain things that other people don't. And often we just think, oh yeah, sure, that's no big deal because we know it so well, And if everybody would just write that down, then it would be a benefit to all the other people. So the first book I wrote was actually about the violin and the sort of my philosophies with that. And because it was something I just knew, I just wrote it out, So anybody has things like that, I'd encourage them to think about just writing them down. And it's your gift to the world. It's your gift to the other people. You don't realize how much you know that other people don't know.
That comes up for me a lot too. You assume that you know things, and then you talk to someone and go, "Well, they don't know that." And very true. So tell us about. I want to dive into
Yeah.
this topic so bad, but tell us about this new book too.
Okay. Well, actually, yeah, I have a new book coming out. It probably won't be published until, say, May, sometime in May. But it's called Accessing Clear Guidance. So this is a book that's very practical. I tend to be a practical sort of person. But it's so many times, people go for a psychic reading and they say, well, should I quit my job? Should I leave my husband? Should I buy this
Right.
car? Should I buy this house? But actually, if we learn to make our own connection,
Mm.
we can get very good guidance ourselves. And so that's part of what this book is teaching. And then it's also I using writing, various different ways of writing, and then also your intuition, developing your intuition in some different ways. You can do that in a very practical way. Okay, because we can have. Of course, Tamara and I just love the other realms, and all the love and all the wonderful, but the higher you go with the teachers, the less interested they are in the nitty-gritty little things like, should I buy this dress or not, and so there this particular book is to help people with those everyday decisions,
Right.
because and can I just tell just a quick story about that,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
okay, I do these tours
Right.
of Egypt, and in February and March of 2020, last year, I was in Egypt giving tours, and at the end of the two tours were completed, and I was going to spend an extra week in Egypt visiting with my family that I have over there, and on Monday, the tour finished on Sunday. On Monday, I arrived at their house, and I actually used a messenger to talk to a friend in the States, and she said, it's getting pretty weird here with the virus. I
Really?
think you should come home right away. This was in March of 2020, just
Okay.
a year ago, right?
Right. Right.
And I said, oh, thank you very much. But I'll consider it, right? Yeah, because who am I to know? Well, you see, these tools that I'm talking about that are in the book, I've been using these for years, for decades. So I was able to tune in and find out whether it'd be a good idea or not. And then things just opened up, where I ended up changing my flight. I left on Wednesday morning instead of the following Saturday. And the thing is that because I had been clearly guided, I knew that I was making the right decision.
Right.
And that is a big difference. Whether I could have, if I didn't have these tools that I'm sharing in the book, I could have been thinking, gee, maybe I should have stayed. I don't know, maybe, things like that. But instead, I knew that I was doing the right thing. So I was completely at peace, and the whole trip was completely smooth. And when I came home, I said, I want other people to have this kind of clarity and sense of peace with how to make a decision.
Right.
And so that's why I thought to write this next book.
No, I think that's great. So many people ask that too. And I always say that it's free. You can connect. We're all from heaven, but we've forgotten. And then this world is busy. There's a lot of chaos, clutter, there's stuff going on, always trying to distract us. So we just need to have that quiet time with ourselves. And a lot of times you don't really need a lot of time. I know that even with intuition and your gut feeling, a lot of people know the answer right away, but they're not willing to honor it and to go with it, including me. including me. Have you ever like you
Mhm.
get that feel and you're like, okay, and you don't always listen. Now I do. Now like I'm listening. But I think everybody has access to your own intuition and higher awareness and your higher senses. And as you develop that, you probably gonna see spirit people or hear them. Okay.
Mhm.
And then as
Mhm.
you say wanted to go forward with that and develop that, then you're going up higher. So it's not uncommon. You're going to talk to people that are maybe Sai Baba or Buddha or Jesus or Mother Mary because you're going up higher. So before we get into too much of the higher states, which we are going to talk about that, and I think it also might be good showing people how to intuitively connect or how we connect. We could also end off on that like a little thing how we do it, just to help people. But I wanted to because maybe we should start from kind of the beginning, because I don't even think I know this about you. Well, I do know you went to the Monroe Institute and did the different levels. I don't know about that, but how did you started training and when with mediumship, and you took it like I did. Like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. I'm going to
Mhm.
commit myself. Does that mean it's a perfect thing? No, it's not perfect. But I think my intention was, okay, I'm here to be of service. I'm taking this 100%
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. And I also told God and Spirit, if I'm going to do this, I'm taking this all the way out. Like, I'm going to be like Doris Stokes from the UK. I'm going to be like 83. She's on stage, barely walking. Her husband's with her. He can't even walk. They're on the stage. And she would have sittings. She'd just sit in a chair and just start talking. And at some point, then, the reading would happen before you'd even know it. It's like, oh, that is the reading. But yeah, I said I'll probably be eating a banana for nutrition because I won't be able to eat anything because my teeth will probably be all gone by then and I'll just have to chew on a banana. But, I said that I'm going to take this all the way out. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to be of service. So I think that Spirit knows your level of intention too. It's not just
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Mhm.
and there's
Yeah.
some people think it's like cool. And I guess in some ways it is cool, but every now and then I get excited about something. Every now and then I'll go, oh, that's kind of cool, every now and then. But to me, it's not an ability. It's kind of who I am now, merged with Spirit. And maybe you can speak on that and talk about how, that's my end. Like, when this came up later in life, is all right, let's give this a go. And if this works, and then we're going full steam ahead. How did it happen for you with Morris? I call it a love affair with Spirit, but how did it happen that you decided why? Because you could have decided not to train. You could have.
Mhm.
Tell me the importance of it, how you got involved, and your love affair with Spirit.
Okay. Let me just think what would be the best way. When it really started back, when I was a teenager, and I always wanted to know what is really the truth. What is really the truth?
Me too.
And that was I was looked at different belief systems. I took a comparative religions thing in college and stuff like that. But I was always trying to find out, well, what's really going on,
Mm-hmm.
and if a lot of it, felt like beliefs. And anyway, I had a crisis, like a relationship that broke up and all this kind of stuff. And I had already started asking questions, like sort of making my own little prayer.
Okay.
And somehow the answers would come. Okay. That was happening. So one time I was about 20 on, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, when I was like 27, this relationship broke up and my life wasn't going the way I thought it should. I just got very, disoriented and looking for answers. And the question came into my mind: if I could do anything, what would I actually want to do? That's
Really?
always a good question to ask, right?
Also a
And it's
musician too, right?
different at different times in your
Oh,
life, you know?
okay.
But and it's amazing. You have these particular moments in your life, and they're like, it's like a snapshot that you'll remember forever. I remember I was lying on a bed and I was looking at a closet, but it was so clear. And I thought, I would like to be like Jesus, put my hands on somebody and have them be healed.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So when we had, see, that was not a mental, intellectual thing. That was my own sort of soul coming up and speaking
Right.
through me, you know? Well,
Right.
when that happens, watch out, right?
Oh, no, you know what? Okay. You make it. I don't want to miss this little nugget right here, because I know Adriana. She's like, oh, she wants to find out, what's going on here, and she questions. This is to manifest what you did. That's where real manifestation happens, because when I'm not saying you can't sit down and formalize it in a prayer, but when you just go, I really wonder, how does that work? Or, I really would like to, or, that's real stuff when that happens. And because that's the real you. And then that stuff starts shaking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, that was it. I had that, right? But within a very short period of time, I ended up going to the Quakers. And, I don't know how many of your listeners have been to a Quaker meeting, but I got there and here were all these people just sitting in silence, hoping to hear from spirit. And I thought, oh, this is good, And then there was a woman that was there and she said, I'm going to go to this expo thing. Would you like to come? And there was somebody who was teaching people how to do hands-on healing.
Oh.
And, he showed us, they do the thing with your hands and you can feel the energy field. And we were paired up. And I was running my hands around this woman's energy field and I could feel it. And it felt so personal. I mean, very intimate. And I thought, I'm not even touching this woman, but it feels like, this is really intimate, But anyway, that opened me up to the energetic world, the non-physical world,
Okay.
Because up until that point, I had been, when I thought about, I'd like to be a healer, the only kind of healing I knew about was faith healing. And you were supposed to believe it before it happened. And I said, well, I can't believe it. If I don't know it's going to happen. How can I believe it? So I was not the kind of person that could just have faith without there being something that happened that I could then say, yes, this, and this, right? So, so anyway, from that point, I found therapeutic touch, which was my doorway into the whole thing. Because with therapeutic touch, therapeutic touch, the idea was you don't have to believe anything. You simply need to have a willing suspension of disbelief. In other words, you put yourself in a place where you can, take in information, you write it down and you compare it with other people. So you build on what your experience is, which is all valid experiences.
Got it.
So that's how I got into the healing stuff, hands-on healing. And then from there, I was a musician, so it went into sound healing. And then it went into, teaching people about their spiritual growth. And what I really felt was then that one of the things I learned from doing the healing work is intent is paramount.
Okay.
Intent is paramount. And so we need to, if we have a clear intent about what it is we're trying to do, then the spirit world can flow through that channel that we've created, right?
Right.
And if that channel is not something which matches the intent of the spirit world, it's not going to happen.
That's a good point, because I think that people don't realize they have an agenda. I do want to stop right there. You did a healing on me in the room. Remember when we were at the
I actually don't remember, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I do it because I was like, you were like telling me, I'm like, what's that? And you were like, oh, I can do it for you. And I think came over one night. We talked about everything in the world because we had like rooms. It was like a little it wasn't really a dormitory. All these mediums are in like a Best Western or something. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but anyway. And so you go down the hall and you go, oh, I got my little, I don't know. They were like tuning forks. And you said, I'll be right, or whatever it was. So I'll be right back. And you did this singing, but at a vibrational level that was like, you were singing, but it wasn't really singing. You were using like the vibrations within the chords of your voice. And you said, well, why don't we just do this? Why don't I just line up your chakras and line yourself? I was like, okay. I was so excited about anything. I was like, whatever you're going to do, let's just do it. And then of course, my roommate, Maura's like, wants some sleep. And here we are doing, tuning stuff. Like, yeah, we've been doing this all day. Yeah. And then, but yeah, I felt the atmosphere around me shift. And it just, I just felt peaceful. Which is another, to me, that's a sign of you're working with God and spirit. You're going to feel what? Love, peace, lighter, all is well. Those are all good signs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was funny. You just marched in like I didn't know who you were and said, let's do this. And I was like, okay. Okay, so you did the music and you're also a professionally trained violinist, right? And you toured doing that with the symphony, right?
Yeah.
Another part of your life.
That's another part. But anyway, but doing the healing work, you see, was actually a perfect way to prep me for doing mediumship type stuff, because there are so many overlaps as far as you're working with the non-physical world, you're learning about intent, you're reading energy, and you're learning to listen. Because when I would be doing any kind of healing with somebody, my prayer at that time was, make me an instrument, tell me what to do. And I would see pictures about like, put your hands in these positions, hold here, no, take it off now, okay, now sing this note, now ask this question. But that was all being fed to me. Yeah, fed to me from the spirit world. And so moving into sort of the channeling stuff was a pretty easy, what do we want to say? Like, kind of going down a hill on a sled. The mediumship is a little different, but it had a lot of overlap.
So I don't want to get people too confused because I do want to, I'm trying to think. And of course, you're a professor, so of course you understand what's going on here. But psychic, medium, channeling, just quick definitions and kind of what it takes energetically. Maybe we should go over that too. And also kind of where we live now, how we both like the channeling aspect better. To me, it's, if you can listen, it's just like, ooh, pressure's off. I mean, it's sort of like easier to me, I think. But let's start with psychic, as you know it. You go ahead and start with that, what you think, and then we'll do medium, and then we'll do the differences between mediums, and then maybe some of the higher level stuff capable, and then we'll go from there so people can know. A lot of people don't know this stuff.
Okay. Okay, so if we're talking about psychic abilities and stuff like that, I mean, have you explained to them the different clairs and all that kind of thing, or?
Well, we can do, where you see, know, feel, clairsentient, I don't want to get too complicated, but where you, where you see things like a film strip, where you can hear it, where you can smell it, touch this, all the clair.
Yeah.
If you want to cover that, I don't want to get too deep, but yeah.
Okay, so just so that people realize that there's sort of different avenues that it comes in, just like, you and I, we're both sitting in a room and we can see and we can hear each other. So there are all these different sort of channels that our experience is coming to us. And likewise, when we're in communication with the non-physical world or the spirit world, there are these different channels. So you might hear something, you might see an image in your mind, you can even smell things sometimes, so there are all these different things. Now, how is that actually used when you're being of service to another person? So I would say, again, the first thing is to set your intent of what it is you want to do. And a basic catch-all, so to speak, is that you can, I can say, I would like to be of service to this person in whatever is the most appropriate way, the most helpful way for today.
Absolutely.
And
right.
and then once that is clear, then maybe the person wants you to give them a reading about their chakras or something like that, or maybe they, sometimes people are medical intuitives, and so they're going to look at the body and see what's going on, things like that. So there, you can be interacting with the person's energy field, their aura, or there's another type of psychic reading or whatever, which is more like fortune telling. Yeah. And so that is a sort of a different, there's a big overlap, because some people who are psychics will tune into the person through like psychometry. They'll hold a ring or something like that, or they'll go into their energy field, and then they'll also give predictions and things. But they are kind of different.
Can I make a comment? Jump in there. Yeah. What you're saying. Okay, so psychometry is when you touch something you've seen. Was it Tyler Henry? Whatever, same do that on TV. That's one thing. When people bring tarot cards out, they do that. They're just basic legend. This is your career. This is your future. Whatever. I don't like using any tools. I am the tool, which sounds funny. You can make a really bad joke right now, but I am the tool. And I like getting that information directly. Now, I know that I don't want to add confusions, but mediums, are connecting to other worlds besides just this physical plane, other worlds, spirit world, heaven, whatever their levels. There are different levels, but when they're connecting, a lot of times if they get information about someone, about this life, this world, I usually get it from them. So that's how that's coming in. I connect mediumistically to get that information. So psychically, some people can just do it through, they can do it through cards. They can get it by what they think. The problem that I really personally have, professionally and ethically, I'm like, oh, great. Comes the comments. Is the way I look at it. I don't want our profession, what we do, to come across like a sideshow, or like fortune tellers, or what we would call neon psychics on the side of the road, because I feel like you have free will. And I think that the way I look at that, sometimes people do need confidence sometimes. Like, you hit certain roadblocks, you need extra validation or some, confidence in an area, but ultimately it's up to us to choose the path. And we have more than one option. So I like to present it like that you're in control. You have many options. These are the few that I think that you probably like. We won't talk about the ones you don't like. But so I don't, this a fortune telling. I like to put the power back into the person's hands, because that's where it belongs anyway. Your life is your own to do whatever you wish. And I think psychic sometimes has a derogatory name. I always like the name seer or mystic, because it covers a little bit more than psychic, because there is sometimes negativity with that name. What do you feel about that?
It's true. I mean, let's face it, even a word like God has negative connotations for some people. And so you really have to say, the great power of love, or something like that. But I think that there is this image of, the fortune teller psychic, who's maybe trying to tell you things and get you to pay money or something like that. And obviously that's not the kind of image that we want to project at all. Right.
And there are different levels. And I think that's why when you do, I think that the best reading, and now get into the medium aspect, all mediums are also psychics. So they also get that information, but I also think it's how they get it. Again, I don't need any tools. we work with the spirit world. And there are different levels of the spirit world. I like to connect to pure levels. Does that mean I'm pure? No. But when I'm doing the work, I like to connect to the higher, pure levels and to get the information directly for that person. Or better yet, I'd rather bring in a grandmother, and I can blame it on the grandmother. Your grandmother said that. Look, I didn't say it. Because you don't want people in her. You said that. I'm like, I don't remember. Always like, look, here are some options. But I prefer when people connect from heart to heart from relatives that have crossed over, and they come in and chime in about their life. To me, I think that's more soulful and more meaningful than just Tamara saying so. As you and I've had readings with one another, we already know. We don't need to prove. We know. I mean, it's fine. Like, if someone wants to stop in with you or me, but we already know that works. So we can go. We don't need to. We can go to the higher levels. The higher level. Elders, guides, angels, Jesus. We can go to those higher levels. And honestly, when I do that, I don't do it for a lot of people because they have to have a clean space and they have to be receptive. And when I do that, I get really kind of high and trance out. So I have to have someone honorable enough to keep track of the time because I don't have any sense of time. And but I enjoy that the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back here. Talk about how you're the mediumship, by the way. That's where we're connected to people that they're disincarnate that have crossed over. Now, yeah, there are ghosts. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm prejudiced against ghosts. I have talked to ghosts. I have helped them cross over. A lot of times they're going to do whatever they're going to do. Maybe they want to experience being a ghost, but spirit people are ones that have crossed over, and their levels. I try to be respectful to all of them, and then we all have our mediums, have our team of people working with us to line up the read, and that we need to help and give a healing message. But I want to talk about the higher levels. I want to talk about both of us, how where we started with mediumship and how we have evolved, and how people, when they start with their intuition, how they can evolve.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Because I've seen you evolve. It's impressive. I've seen you evolve.
Yeah. Well, our fellow students, I've been so impressed with how some of them have been so dedicated, and at the beginning, they were just not able to bring things through clearly at all. And years later, I see them and they're just doing a fantastic job, So
Mm-hmm.
there certainly is a lot about, how much a person really applies themselves and really wants to do it, wants to serve. That's a big part of it,
And it's funny because I've heard people before say, oh, I want to do this, and I think, I'm going to quit my job. I'm like, if you want to make some money in this, you might think about not quitting your job. A lot of this is being of service. And even when you do get paid, but I think, my opinion, because of the ethics level required, if someone's poor living in a trailer dying of cancer, chances are I'm probably not going to charge them, because I'm going to answer to God, and if God tells me to talk to him, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. But because we have to use ethics, and sometimes I'm not meant to read people. I don't even always understand why. Maybe I'm not their person. And so it's not like you run them in and you run them out. You run them in and you run them out. You run them in, right? It's more, it's a higher level kind of thing. So I'm not against people that make money doing it. I'm just saying it's very difficult. So I think people have confusions in that area. I've heard people say, "Oh, mediums are, they're like." I don't know any rich ones. Do you? The people at the top of the trade probably don't even make $100,000, and big name people.
I think I do know some that are doing just fine.
Well,
but yes, it certainly isn't. It isn't like other professions and things like that.
Right. So where you've gone from being a medium, what you learned, why you decided to train, and how you feel. Let's talk about the training. Why you decided to train, your development, and then how now you can see people that are trained versus not trained.
Okay. So as I had said, I had already been doing the healing work and all this kind of stuff. So I was in tune with the spirit world, so to speak, but I hadn't been doing deceased loved ones per se. Yeah. And when my mom passed over and she started showing up, then it got me really interested in that whole area. It was sort of, and actually, because I was listening to my guides, they actually encouraged me to do it, because they said there's a need. The kinds of teachings that I would get from the spirit guides were really about spiritual growth and, the bigger truths of life and that kind of thing. But there was a real need, for people to, it's about love. It's all about love.
It is. It is.
And you can go to somebody and say, well, God loves you or something like that. But that's different than having, a grandmother that they know loves them come through. And actually, I think the pets are really an important thing too.
Well, yeah.
Because where else do we get that kind of unconditional love?
Beautiful.
I love there's a little comic where there's a dog sitting on a throne up in heaven. Somebody's just arrived, and the dog is saying to the person, the unconditional love didn't tip you off.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you're right.
So many times, for people to hear from their pets. I mean, now Matt Frazier, you may be aware of him. I mean, he does some amazing work, and I watched a little reading that he did, and he brought through, the person's brother, and then the friend, and he had all these different things. And then at the end, he said, "Oh, and by the way, there's a dog here." And as soon as they heard that, they both started going, "Ah!"
Oh, yeah, it can really touch
Hearing from the dog was actually more powerful for them than all these people. So, but at any rate, whether it's people or dogs or whatever, I think that when we really want to serve, we begin to realize that everybody is wherever they are. And it's
That's
for
exactly
us
right.
to decide, am I willing to meet them there? And for some things, no, I'm not willing to meet them there. It's not my vibration, But but if we are here and they're there or something, and we're not willing to come here, we can't serve them.
No, absolutely. And I think that's I had an example of that one time. There was this lady that I read, and it was a while back. I drove to her place. She was insistent. I said, "No, I don't do that." She goes, "I'll pay for your gas and whatever." And she wanted her whole family there. And apparently a key family member had passed on. And I didn't know anyone. I didn't know who or what or anything, but she had to have her family. So, this important person in the family. So I was like, ah. And then someone else said, "Oh, they're a friend of mine. Please do it." I was like, oh, it was a long way. It was like an hour and a half. Okay. And so, I go there and I said, "Well, look, by the time I get there, by the time I do the really, you need to feed me." They made dinner. I said, "I don't care what." They made spaghetti. I said, "Because I got to drive all the way back and it's going to be late." And that's fine. And so I remember the reading. I remember before driving there, I had a turtle ring, and Spirit said, "Wear the turtle ring." I said, "I don't want to wear the darn turtle ring. I want to wear the angel wing ring." I said, "I'm not going to wear it. I'll bring it in my purse." Okay, I didn't think about it. So I go to this thing, sit down, and immediately a younger man came through, like I'd say mid-30s, and he described himself, and he goes, "I didn't mean to do it. It wasn't my fault." So apparently there must have been a question of a suicide, and it wasn't. Okay, it was just an accident. Yeah. This happens, and there was some detail and said, so it was the sister who invited me. The mother was there. She was like an older kind of country woman. Her husband wasn't there because he thought that, I guess, I'm working with the devil. So he wasn't there. Seriously, he wasn't there. And then they had a couple like younger, I don't know who they were there, people. And then a husband who was a trucker who was, he wasn't there. He came in midway while we're doing it. Okay. So I'm getting this evidence, and I said, yeah, I said that daddy shouldn't be, it was his father, should, because that's the sister. And then the mom was here. Daddy wasn't there. I said, yeah, he's got a license plate. And he was talking about the chain on it and how he's eating chocolate when he's out and about, and he's not supposed to, he's diabetic. And he's eating Kit Kats. And the mom thought it was funny and said, yeah. And she validated it. So a lot of detail, girlfriend. And you got the motorcycle from a lot of detail, right? So there's no doubt, a lot of evidence, right? Evidential, got it. And then there was a woman that invited me, the sister. She was just real mean. God almighty. I mean, it was like, I don't know. Why do you do it? Finally, her daughter said, Mom, please don't be mean to her. Talking about me, that's how mean. And even the mother put her hand on the daughter, said, no, I understand what she's saying. I understand it. So I'm like, boy, this is a tough one. I didn't understand this whole thing while I was there. Then the husband comes in, being a trucker. Now he's in the kitchen, but he's rubbernecking, trying to listen to this whole thing. So before what I left out, before we started, a couple men came through, and she goes, oh, they're with my husband. They're not with us. So she blew the spirits off. So when the husband kind of, so I went into the kitchen to get some water. I said, do you mind? And he's sitting there. I said, so you think this is all BS, don't you? And he started laughing. I said, well, there were some people here for you earlier. So he comes back in when we wrapped up. And I spent a lot extra time with them because I just wanted it to be complete, whatever it was, the reason I was there. So he sat down and began to tell him about, there's a man here, blah, blah, blah. He's talking about his mistress was his red sports car. And he started crying. He said, that's how he passed. And I said, well, he wants to talk about the time you went to the lake and found a turtle and you took it home and then you later released it. And he goes, yeah. And I said, hold on a minute. And I pulled that turtle out of my purse and showed it to them. The guy was crying. This was not a crying kind of guy. I felt like he said, quit hating God. You smell my smoke in the truck and I drive with you. I love you. That's all. I just want to tell you I love you. And you could tell this whole guy's world, like, I just know it was changed forever. And then I got beat up. The other people appreciated it, but this one woman, I couldn't understand the attacks. So I'm driving back in the car and I'm crying like, this was horrible. I mean, it was just abusive to me. And I asked Jesus, I said, why did this happen? Why? You know, why was I attacked so much? And he said this, and it really changed things for me. He said, people are at different points in life and they come to spirituality and spiritual awakenings at different tone levels and different points. I said, you mean people come to you pissed off? He goes, oh yeah, all the time. And I goes, oh my God, that's horrible. He goes, yeah, and she may not stay there. I said, she was vicious. He goes, yeah, they come to me crying a lot. They come yelling. I said, oh my God. He goes, yep, that's just the entry level. She came to you. It was brutal. And I said, oh God, I don't know if I can do that. But people come to you at different levels. Now, if someone's like that now, I don't do a reading. If they start getting volatile, I said, thank you very much. I'm going to end the session. I usually give them back the money because that's just where they are right then.
Mm-hmm. It's not a good match.
It's not a good match. And it has to be that good vibrational frequency. And it's the same thing with people out here in life. You just want to make sure that you're lifted up. So let's talk about the people that, now that you're trained, you've gotten training, you've trained several years with different people like I have, and that's how we met. At Tony Sokol, and you took from Lisa Williams, and so you've taken a lot with several mediums. So now, 10, 12 years later, looking back, how can you spot a trained medium from an untrained medium? Because I want people to hear this. I know you know, but I want you to tell people as you see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is to help people, like if they go to a demonstration or they have a reading, that they know whether what the medium is saying is valid or not, right?
Yes.
Is that the idea? Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that to me, I can always tell someone who's untrained well, let's just put evidential mediumship as a standard. There's a certain way that we are trained. For example, when you're doing a reading, you want to find out, is it male or female? So you need to be able to do that. You need to kind of get an idea. It might be helpful. Maybe how they pass. Were they young? Were they older? Sometimes they'll tell you right off. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they don't want to talk about it. We give descriptions sometimes of them, how they look. Sometimes I've had some go, I didn't look so good. They won't talk about it. I was like, okay. And then they'll talk about something else, like maybe, like anybody else. So their loves, maybe their career, what they like, or food. Sometimes they'll talk about foods. Sometimes they'll talk about, their animals they love, and just enough so the person knows who it is. Once we find out who that person is there for them, then we give them the message and the healing message. But there's standards we have to kind of check off as evidential mediums, versus someone that doesn't have training. They'll say, there's a grandmother here and she loves you. Well, that's not really a message, and you really don't know if she's here or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I want to just fit in here because I think it's important. If people, haven't been to a meeting, or they're kind of interested, they think maybe I'll go or whatever, that there is something which is called feeding the medium. And so if a person, if someone says, well, I have an older woman here, it might be your grandmother, and if the respondent then says, oh yes, my grandmother, blah 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 blah, and then you see you've given a lot of information. And so if the medium then sort of riffs off of that, you don't know whether they're just responding to what you said or if they're actually getting it from spirit. So it's really sort of the etiquette when you're the person receiving the reading, is that you tell them yes or no, but you don't start, because people get excited and then they'll start saying, oh yeah, that's so-and-so and blah, 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 blah.
Don't tell me anything. Don't tell me anything. Oh, don't tell me anything. Yeah. Always good. Don't tell me anything.
Right. You see, that actually, it messes it up in two ways. It messes it up because the person receiving the reading can doubt it afterwards because they don't really know for sure whether it came from what they said or not. It also messes it up for the medium because it distracts, and it would be much better if the medium could get it directly and then give that information, because that might be the information that would be the evidence. And if you give the evidence before the medium has a chance to give it, you've messed up the process. Exactly. So I think I would just like to communicate that to anybody who's listening, that's really an important thing to know.
Very.
And it's easy when people get excited to start, telling the whole story, but that's really not the thing you want to do if you're going for a reading, or if you get selected out of the audience in a platform mediumship, where they have a whole group of people that the person is reading for.
I've had, especially other countries, I don't know why. I have one lady said, so am I going to do all the talking? And I'm like, no, I want you to be quiet, and I'm going to connect, and I'm going to be quiet, and then I'm going to ask for a yes or no, and I'm going to listen. And I'm actually not going to be looking at you. I'm going to be looking at them. Okay. And then I'm going to I want them to do all the talking. But I can't let them do the talking. If you're talking, I can't hear, because I got to hear and with my spirit ears. And if they're doing the talking, but I've had some that can't, blah, 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 blah. I don't know that. Not so much talking. I've had to tell people, please, not so much talking. And they don't understand that. And I'm pretty good at keeping my connections and staying in a trance. But if you really start jabbering up a storm, I mean, I'm going to be honest, it's going to be hard for someone to keep that link.
Yeah. And I think an easy way for someone to kind of think of it is as though, there's a telephone call. and one person's on the line, and if the other person is in the room talking to you at the same time,
it's the same thing.
It's really hard to hear the conversation, like that. So I think that's an important thing for people, for us to bring out, for people to know.
Very, very important. I like that.
Another way, it's, with the evidence, it's really lovely if the evidence that comes through is something that other people would not have known, or that wouldn't be like an easy thing to guess, so those are the little pearls we hope will come through for people, right?
The obscure ones, it's even better than names. That's good when you get obscure stuff.
Like, the ring that's on a particular drawer, and, all this kind of stuff. I mean, those are great.
No, I get, I know you have too. No. And then you get the email. There it is.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, some of the teachers at the Arthur Finley, and I include Janet Nahavik in that, are exquisite with this. They can tell you the brand of coffee, the person, the type of car they were driving. I mean, all these kinds of things. And it's exciting. Huh?
That's the level you need to go for. I did funny. That also has to do with being professional. And a perfectionist. That I remember one time we were doing an exercise for going for extreme detail. So instead of saying red shoes, there were red sparkly shoes that were made like the 40s, like Betty Grable, with the flower on it that was shaped this particular way. That on the right side had a piece missing on the heel. That's the kind of detail so they know, but you can't get that detailed if the person doesn't know, or like if a person was familiar with their guitar and you could say, yeah, it was a Fender guitar, it was green, but there was a scratch on the bottom of it. It was a dent, you were trying to sell it, but actually that dent has a story. It really doesn't have it should have not the value should still be maintained. Details, just obscure details, or like it came out with me one time, an example. I really like this one, so I'll use it. A Christmas tree. And it was a father talking about a Christmas tree. And the Christmas tree was a Douglas Christmas tree with white tips. And on there was an ornament of yours that he gave you. And the ornament was a Red Baron Snoopy with your name on it. Yes. That.
Those are the kinds of things that make it just wonderful, when those things come through. Another thing that I particularly like is that it can be for the in Britain they call it the sitter, the person who's receiving the reading. If the sitter actually feels the presence of that person. You see, that is, an even more wonderful gift, because the evidential things like, the Snoopy ornament or whatever, that satisfies the mind. But if it's possible that sitting there with the medium and, they're bringing this spirit person through, you feel that person is there. Oh, well, and you feel their essence. That speaks to the heart.
Yeah,
and so if you really have if you're having a reading with a medium, or they've picked you out of the audience or whatever, and you feel as though that person is right there, and you remember the feeling of their love, that's really coming to you, that's wonderful too. I mean, I think I mentioned in the previous interview about how my mom would once, she just had a ball coming through with these, all the classes and stuff. And she just came through again and again and again and again.
Oh, yeah.
But when I was in a class with Lisa Williams, and she brought my mom through, and I felt her.
Right.
In a way that I hadn't with all these others.
Well, she's also physical medium too, and she does trance. So
yeah, so that was a marvelous gift, you know. But another thing I think that we should bring out here, because I can see we're just almost finished here, is that any medium is going to have good days and bad days, right? It's just like musicians or something like that. You know, I was trained as a musician, and the thing is, when you're going to perform, you want to get that your ability to play your music at such a level that if you lose 50%, it's still going to sound good, you know?
Oh.
And so, because we know that on some days you're not going to be at the top of your game. Other days, you know, it's going to be more of a struggle. Sometimes it's just going to flow like crazy. So I would say have a little compassion for the mediums, that they're going to be doing their best for you. But, you know, everybody has their own life as well. And sometimes, you know, you might see them and they're just like jump, and they're just getting all this beautiful stuff. And, you know, there'll be other times when they're not going to be right at the top of their game. And, you know, I know, I won't give the name, but it's a very well-known medium here. And somebody went for a reading with them. He's a teacher of mediumship and everything. And he said, you know what? It's just not working for me today. Let's reschedule. You know, he at least he didn't try to fake it or something like that. He realized he was not connecting that day. That doesn't mean he's a bad medium. I have seen him do incredible work, you know, on the podium. So he is a good medium, but it's not, you know, sometimes the things happen, you know. So just don't just write somebody off if they say something like that to you. Maybe, you know, go ahead and reschedule the reading, and another day they'll be probably much more able to serve you in the way you deserve. Okay.
You know, that's ethics. If you're just sometimes you're fatigued, especially if you do a lot of readings after a while, even with training, sometimes it depends on the more deeper healing one. I do want to mention a couple things and then we will end off. But I guess what I'm saying, the train, you expect the nuggets before let me just go there. Because in this physical world, people need that. But the higher levels, you get into, you know, physical medium, where you can smell the cigars in the room. You can see the chandeliers moving. You can see, you know, the person's on them. That's why every now and then a spirit will say, can I hug them? And I'll let them use me a few minutes. The thing. But it's cool, especially you can see my face changing if someone takes a picture. I've had people not know it. To me, it's very intimate, me allowing that spirit person to do that. But if I like them, but it feel the presence, and actually, all medium, well, if they want to do that, I mean, it's to the person who wants to do different ways that we can evidence by a smile, by how we walk, you know, that the medium is not just the words. So and then when we get into channeling, now we're, you know, we can channel spirit people, we can channel ascended masters, you could channel angels. It depends who you're connected to, but channeling is more, from what I understand, it works through me. It's just a continual river and flow of information, and I just have to write it down or just get, and then at the time, it makes a lot of sense. And about 10, 15 minutes later, I have no idea that I said that. So, but to me, it's easier to do that. You're not really getting evidence. You're just allowing the information to flow through. I'm still trying to figure out how to really use that for people, because to me, it's sacred. So I don't really do it too much publicly. But how do you feel about that? Because that's more of the higher level healing. And I know you're at that level too. How do you use that, and how do you feel? Maybe that's for mediumship where it's going.
Well, I use it in my readings now. You know, I mean, to help people with their spiritual growth and things like that. Because, you know, they're so much wiser than I am.
Well, no, Ruth,
And they can explain something to the person
oh
in
God,
like a 10 minutes that would take me, 45 minutes to, they're just so succinct, and they're so loving, and they're my teachers that I want to emanate. The way those spirit guides treat us, that's how I want to treat others. They're my model, you know.
no,
Um,
that's,
but I do I haven't done it since we did COVID, but I do group channelings, where I let usually it's maybe 4 different entities come through, and they speak, and then they answer questions to the people. And I have a blog where I have some of those transcripts are published. People, if you go to my ruthshilling.com, you'll see there are 2 different blogs that have some of that. I'm way behind on transcribing those.
yeah, the link is behind that. Well, I came up with the whole Jesus speaks, and it's safe for people, for normal population. They tend to know who he is. He's kind of a rock star. But honestly, that ended up not being. That seemed to be the most controversial thing I've done. Who knew? But I've had Mother Mary. I've had other people. What I did, that person gets what they need in the team of people. Usually talk to me when I show in unison. You can get individuals too, but I think it's up to the person to be receptive to that. So it's all tailored for the person, what they need. So
definitely. Mm-hmm.
If another medium were like, sure, whatever, I don't care, I'm game, let's do it, but other people, I wouldn't want someone to feel uncomfortable with that. So I think it depends. That's why maybe I want to make sure that person feels comfortable, but definitely, among the medium community, that's something that I would say that is not unusual. That level would welcome that, and they do a lot of that and trance work in England. So that is actually a more standard and common thing. So I wanted to wrap up telling people where to get your books on the mediums and the one coming out. Can they go to ruthshilling.com?
Yeah, well, of course, they're all on Amazon, so they can go there. The only thing is the new book about accessing clear guidance. That's the title. If they go to my author page on Amazon and click follow, when that's published, they will get an email.
Okay, I'm on your author page, so we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have so much fun with you. I mean, we could cover 3 hours. We've done that before. So, but I want you guys to know this is Mediumship Excellence Month, because it's March. It's my birthday. March 22nd is coming up. It's birthday month.
Yeah, well, I had a birthday too. So we're both March.
Oh, no, when's your birthday?
March 4th. Yeah.
You're kidding. Happy birthday. So
Thank you. Thank you.
You're Pisces?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's why you're so creative and musically talented and writer. Okay. I'm on the cusp. I'm actually Aries, but because I'm the first day, I'm Pisces too, which means I'm an artist. I can be quieter. I can be gregarious. I can do either one. But anyway, so
you can do it all, right?
You do it all. I see you're the do it all Renaissance woman. But March is Mediumship Excellence and the Mystical Arts, and so we have Ruth with her books and so forth, and I would love to have you also back on the show, because you're a wealth of information. You're a lot of fun, and I had to have you so you can talk about your books. Then we're having Thursday at 4 p.m. Leo Bonneau, who's an evidential medium from the UK, and I have done mediumship stuff with him. He's a really nice guy. I'll put you and Ruth, you and him together. You would really like one another. He's involved with a lot of cool stuff. And then we're having channeling month in August. So he's hooking me up with some channelers over there that actually go into like Chinese voices and do everything. Seriously, that Master Chow. But he's going to be on the live chat. So I want you to get an idea of our world and our community, right? This is kind of our world, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
This is our world. This is the creative
people.
This is our people's. This is our part of I'm sharing a little bit of my world with you. And Ruth's also part of that. And I think you can read mediums. I still read a lot of mediums. Have you read, real quick, have you ever read Stephen O'Brien from Wells?
No, I haven't.
Oh, girl, I got something for you. I have to get the books out of publish. That's how I go deep into it. But yeah, he's from Wales, and he actually came up with a lot of stuff offline. We'll talk about that. People came up with. It's really him, and he's got maybe 6 or 7 books. He's quite good. So look, happy birthday! Everybody's saying happy birthday. So happy birthday to you. You have a daughter's birthday. Susan's one of our followers here. Hey, Susan. And so
I like this. Somebody writes, the instrument is not in tune today. That's good. Yeah.
I'm actually gonna steal that. The instrument is not in tune. Exactly. That is so funny. Well, you are a delight. Go to ruthshilling.com. She's got so much stuff. And when this pandemic, and we will get past this, okay, guys, we're gonna get past this. When we do, Ruth is a professional Egyptian, ancient Egypt expert, and she has these tours. So she can take you on a tour there, and you can see certain documentaries and things she's done in her book Queen Nefertari. So she's again a Renaissance woman. So I mean, what have you not done? So thank you so much for your time. If you haven't seen the part 1 of this, us talking about mediumship, we really get into it. It's some good stuff. My husband said that was really good. So that's saying a lot because he sees a lot of these. And then also your Egyptian one you did. That was fantastic. Egyptian soul in Egypt. You guys got to see that. And you'll see that down below in the video. So look, thank you so much, Ruth. You're always a joy. I just, anything new, you're welcome on this show to talk about it. And people connect with Ruth Shilling. You'll see her information below. And have a great night.
Subscribe. Happy birthday to Andrea. And Gianna. Yeah.
Oh, it's her birthday too? Oh, 31st. You're Aries. Okay. Adriana. That explains a lot.
Let's hear it for the March people, right?
Yeah. March people, spring babies. Yeah, I'm a spring baby. I am ready for winter to be gone. So, well, look, thank you guys. Thanks for watching, and subscribe and like and watch and tell your friends.
Okay, bye-bye.
Love. Bye, guys.